Hey family, I'm PT, Pastor Teray Roberts, and the lead pastor of the Potter's House at 1LA in Denver. And on behalf of my wife, Pastor Sarah, and myself, we want to welcome you to our channel and to this word. I cannot wait for you to hear what God has for you in this message. I want to tell you a few things really quickly. Subscribe. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, subscribe so that you can be made aware of all of the word that's coming at you week in and week out, and also turn on your notifications so you don't miss a morsel that comes forth. We're also grateful for you and your partnership. If you are so compelled, we invite you to support what we're doing, not just our church, but what our church is doing. There are a number of outreaches, a number of things, critical, necessary things that we support, and we're able to do it because of your generosity. So without further ado, let's get right into this word. God bless you. I'll see you soon.
Family, great, glorious day unto you. I don't know exactly where you are. I do know that it is a global movement. So I'm speaking to every corner of this earth where you are watching from. And I'm praying that you are receiving this word with the Spirit of the Lord in your household, with the Spirit of the Lord in your relationships, with the Spirit of the Lord governing and stewarding your time, which we are grateful that you took some of that time and decided to spend it here with us and have an encounter with God and His Word. Thank you so much for joining us. I am absolutely honored to no end to be able to have this experience with you. And so we're going to jump right on in. Today, we're going to be in Luke chapter 11, verses 24 through 26. That is where we will start. And this is Jesus speaking. He says, when an unclean spirit goes out of a man, he goes through dry places seeking rest. And finding none, he says, I will return to my house from which I came. And when he comes, he finds it swept and put in order. Oh, I love this so much. I'm not going to preach it. I'm going to read it. And when he comes, he finds it swept and put in order. Then he goes and takes with him 7 other spirits more wicked than himself. And they enter and dwell there. And the last state of that man is worse than the first. Ooh, we gonna go to work today. So the title for today's message, for those of you who are taking notes, this is Reopening Act. And I called it the Reopening Act because this is not just, I originally thought of calling this take 2. But if we're honest, for some of us, this isn't take 2. It might be take 4, take 5, or take 6. This may be a restart, a reopening, another opportunity to encounter a new dimension of what God has for you. And I didn't want to put a number to it, so I just said Reopening Act. Currently, right now, as the world is turning, we are opening up. That's the new term. That's the new buzz phrase. It has everybody a little more excited and a little more anticipatory for what's going to happen. Is we're opening up. The world is opening up. As vaccinations have taken place and there's more wisdom and knowledge about COVID-19 that has taken place, suddenly, we are at a place where guidelines are shifting. And depending on where you are, there has been a shift in how everyone has been living and how everyone has interacted with each other. And so there's a great excitement and a building optimism that is starting to take place. And I don't want to be someone who bursts bubbles because I am an optimistic person. I love walking with the idea that the next thing is truly going to be an awesome and wonderful thing. I believe that, but I also have a perspective on order and timing. You know, in this house, Pastor Teray frequently speaks of the times and the seasons and what to do in them. And I want to make sure that the people of God have a firm understanding of what this time and season really, really is. It is indeed a reopening. Everybody's saying we're open. Businesses are saying we're open. Everybody's open. We're open. Everywhere's open. Parks are open. And what I want us to also understand is it isn't just the businesses, and it isn't just the environment, and it isn't just the places that you're used to going. It isn't just your haunts that have been opened. In fact, we're open, as in us, as a people. Right now, we're open. the feeling of optimism and the way people cannot wait to get, I can't even say back, but the excitement for people to move forward with the next phase of whatever's coming is palpable. Everyone can feel it. And what I want us to be prepared for is the understanding that while that excitement is good to have, there is still work to be done. And the reason I can be excited about that work is if we have the right perspective on what it is we are to do, we can all come out of this literally a better people, a better world, a better environment. But we have to understand this very critical moment that we're in. And I chose this passage in scripture because when I read it, it just reminded me so much of a lot of the testimony that I've heard from people throughout this pandemic season, which is still not over, but we're getting towards the end of. And a lot of it is I got to work out my issues. There were things that I was dealing with that I got to a chance to get a handle on, and I got to push those things out, and I got to handle situations, and I got to handle myself, and I got to see myself in a way I didn't see myself. My friends are different, and now my environment is different, and my thinking is different. And so while it was an incredibly challenging, difficult, painful season, there was revelation. There was an increase in discernment. There was an increase in how important it is to view the world through the lens of what is actually happening, not only in the natural, but also what is happening in the spirit. There was a great increase for the hunger of the presence of God like I have never seen before. So all of these things are taking place. And I want to bring this verse into focus for us because I don't want the good work that we have done. I don't want the good things that we have started. Family, I don't want the things, the progress that you have made in this season through tough and trying trials, through a level of intimacy with God that you've never had before. I don't want any of that good work to go to waste. I don't want it to disappear just because we're open. And the reason I say we're open is because we are open. Family, we are vulnerable in a way that we may not realize. See, the beautiful thing about this verse is Jesus is speaking of what happens when you take the time to go to war with the thing on the inside of you that wars with him. The thing on the inside of you that wars with the Holy Spirit, that wars with the most anointed version of who you are. When you take the time to square up with that thing like we all did during this pandemic, when the world has been shut off and all of the distractions are gone and there's no excuses left to be made because there's literally nowhere that you could go to run away from the thing on the inside of you that was trying to hold you back, that was trying to diminish you and trying to remove the stature that God placed on your life. When you faced that thing head up for a year and change and you defeated it and you drove it out, of course, there is a sense of victory. Of course, there is a sense of accomplishments, and there should be. Of course, there is a sense of a stature having grown, of strength having grown. You're battle tested. Come on now. You've defeated something. You took the head off of a giant and you're holding it right now. You have that David feeling on the inside of you. And if you didn't before I spoke this word, I'm speaking that feeling and that spirit over you right now. You should know that you slayed a giant if you made it all the way through this pandemic season, and celebrate your victory. But this verse tells us that when you drive out one thing, this thing will take time and leave. I love this so much. It says it goes through dry places seeking rest, and then it finds none, and it says, I will return to my house. See, lie number one. This thing will come back and pretend that you belong to it. Whatever it is, it will show up and act as if it has ownership in the place it has been driven out of. So this text is giving us the blueprint. It's giving us a peek. It's giving us a preview of what is about to happen. It's telling us right now what the enemy is about to do. The playbook is being given to us. You drove that thing out. Come on, somebody. You drove that bad habit out. You drove the drinking out. You drove the bad handling of your finances out. You drove the substance abuse out. You drove the mentality that you are not enough for what you're doing and were not connected to God. You drove that thing out. You drove out the lie that you're not enough. You drove out the lie that God doesn't love you. You drove out the lie that the people around you who were against you, that the people around you who were against you were trying to pretend they were for you. You drove them out. You have cleared the decks. And God says, steward, well done. There's 8 more coming. And this is the part we don't want to face. This is the part we have to face. This is the part I am imploring you to face because you have it in you. As you had it in you to drive out the 1, you have it in you to defeat the 8 that are coming. I love that it is indeed 8. It says the same spirit comes back and 7 more wicked than the one that showed up are coming. It would be very easy to read the math and get discouraged. You say, oh my goodness, it took me 1.5 years to drive this thing out. Me and God got together like we've never gotten together before. And now all of a sudden, 7 more of the thing that I just drove out in worse, more wicked, more powerful, more dangerous form are coming to my doorstep. God, what is this? This is God saying promotion. And it doesn't look like a promotion. But God is saying, I've watched you fight and drive out 1. And it was a monumental victory. And now you have the opportunity to drive out 8. 8 worse, 7 worse than the one that came. Which means God is telling you, you are even more battle ready than you realize. But if we don't have the understanding that a battle is coming, we will lay back and get complacent. My question for you right now is, after you drove out the thing that you drove out, I'm trying to help somebody. After you told that person that they had to leave your life and they had a hold on your heart, on your mind, on your spirit, after you finally said, no, boo-boo, you have to go. And you deleted the number and you cut them off of Facebook and you cut them off of Twitter and you cut them off of Instagram and you cut them off of WhatsApp and you cut her off of every other part of your life. After you finally drove this person out, what did you do? It says here in the verse that the person cleans up the house. Now you got to understand, when you fight, it gets messy. Things get broken. Things get smashed. Things get dented. Things at bare minimum get moved out of place. So when you're in a real fight, especially if it's in your house, you got to clean up. And this is what I want this family to do. This is what I want my family, my people, my brothers and my sisters to do. Clean up. Don't just sit in the mess of your battle, absorbing and laying in the victory of it. We got to clean up. We got to clean up and we got to get prepared, because that thing is out there recruiting 7 of its worst homies to come back to your crib and claim you belong to it. And so this is what separates the soldiers. This is what separates the victory from the defeat. The victory says, I've won, and now I have to get ready for the 8 that are coming. And I find 8 to be such a significant number because 8 is the number of new beginnings. You're saying, wait, Pastor, I don't understand. I just came out of a season of a huge fight, and now I'm being tossed into another fight. This doesn't feel like a new beginning. It feels like I'm still fighting. Yes, but you're not fighting on the same level, and you are not fighting the same way. With the time that it takes for you to have driven the thing out that was blocking the anointing of God on your life, now it's time for strategy. Because now you have knowledge and insight that there are 8 more coming. Now it's time to strategize. Okay, this is how I took out the 1. Now that I know there's 7 more that are worse than it, how do I prepare myself to take them out too? This reminds me a lot of, I think it was the second Matrix. After the first Matrix, he saw Neo, he whooped tail, he did everything, and he did those slow-mo thing, and he finally defeats all of these agents. Now, in the first, he fought like a few of them. Now, in the second one, there's this really cool interaction where he comes out and he meets the agents. The agents look at him and he looks at the agents, and they both have a moment of revelation. Because he looks at them and says, upgrades. He understands that he's not fighting the same level that he fought on before, even though they both look the same. They had on the suits and the glasses and all that. He says, wait a minute, there's something different about them. I got to fight them different. Upgrades. And the best part is, and this is the part that should make you leap, they looked at him different. They knew he wasn't the same. And immediately they started trying to figure it out because they showed up to fight what used to be and ran into what currently is now. So your enemy is about to have a rude awakening because you caught this word and you caught this revelation and you prepared for yourself for what is to come. Because the enemy has been kicked out and is now bringing 7 of its more wicked friends to show up to your door, thinking, hoping, praying, strategizing that you are exactly the same as you were when you drove the first one out. But not today. Not today. Because from this moment, from the moment you catch this word, we prepare. And we say, how can I prepare my environment? How can I clean out everything? How can I prepare my environment to do battle on the next level? So what do I need? How do I get everything in order so that when these 8 show up, I'm prepared and I'm ready to fight? And not just ready to fight, I'm ready to claim the victory that I know God said is mine. And this brings me back to why I called this the reopening act. You see, in a film, the opening act establishes 4 things. It establishes who the main characters are. It establishes what it is they do. It establishes the world that they live in and their relationship to that world. And so these are the 4 things that happen in the opening act of a good film. There's some bad films. I'm not going to talk about those. A good film, 99 out of 100 times, is doing these things. And depending on the genre or style of film, we may not even realize it. But this is exactly what they're trying to do. So when you walk into an action film and the first 5 minutes are all action, they're establishing this is the type of world where anything could pop off at any time. If you're watching a romantic comedy and the first thing that happens is you see couples and they're walking through the park and they're playing that soft music or they're playing that 90s R&B that instantly makes everything look way more romantic than it really is. And everybody's holding hands and everybody's smooching and everybody's got arms around. And it looks like Valentine's Day every day. They are establishing the environment that this is a romantic environment. When a song breaks out in the first 5 seconds of a movie, you know this is the type of film or environment where people just might start singing. So it's no longer strange to you. So family, we have to establish who we are, what we do, the new world that we are living in, the new environment that we are living in, the new house that we're in because we drove something out and cleaned it up and now it is fresh and whole and new because it is a reflection of who we are and our new relationship to our home and to our environment. And when we lay down these guidelines, when we establish the world in this reopening act, now when the enemy shows up, the enemy literally is perplexed. The enemy and its 7 homies have no idea what to do because they showed up to a new house and they showed up to a new environment and they showed up to new rules and they showed up to a new you. They showed up to an upgrade. I'm trying to get somebody to understand right now you are an upgrade. If you made it through this pandemic season, I don't know about how you feel, but I will tell you who you are. You're an upgrade. Your strategy is different. Your strength on the inside is different. Your discernment is different. It's sharper now. You can see things coming that you didn't see before. You can discern things you didn't discern before. You and God are having conversations on a different level. You didn't have them before. You're an upgrade. So I need the people of God to act like the upgrades that they are. And upgrades prepare for the next. Upgrades know we're not going to fight the same thing we just fought. We're going to fight something that's going to bring an army. And that army is greater in strength and stature than the one I defeated. But God has set this up so that when you defeat, when you defeat the 8 that show up, you can step into the new beginning that 8 signifies. And you now have a new understanding of who you are. You thought every battle was going to be, it's going to take me 1.5 to 2 years to drive that one thing out. And God is saying, we're entering the point in time now where because your strategy is on another level and you're battle tested in a way you didn't imagine and your fortitude on the inside has been built up. And now you are not only sharper in the word, but you're so covered by the anointing of the presence and the power of God. You are so steeped in his word and his promises. You are so steeped in the study of his presence that now any enemy and any army that shows up immediately says, this is not the same person. And now the enemy's got to scramble. The enemy has to figure out a whole new line of attack because you are an upgrade. And so in order for us to continue to walk in the spirit of actually being an upgrade, we have to know one thing. We have the advantage because we know the enemy is coming. They're coming to us. In sports, one of the greatest advantages that you can have is home field advantage. And I feel this for somebody. You have people right now who are gung-ho. They said, man, I took care of this one thing. Lord, this is the boldest thing you can say, so be very careful when you say it. Lord, send me. Lord, send me on out. I can handle it. I can take care of it. I'm ready. I've been cooped up in here. I've been cooped up in my environment. I've been cooped up in this place and I've been fighting the same enemy. And I've been cooped up in this one stale room and I'm ready to go out. I'm ready to fight new battles. I'm ready to go into different places. Lord, send me. And the Lord is saying, whoa, you have to establish your home court advantage. I can't send you on the road. You got to keep winning at home. Great teams learn how to utilize home court advantage, how to win on their territory before they then go out to other territories and continue to dominate and have victory. So what God is giving you is the opportunity to establish home field advantage in the most amazing way possible. Because you know the enemy is coming and you know the number, you know the intensity, you know exactly what they're coming to do. They're coming to reclaim something they believe is theirs, except you know the truth, that it doesn't belong to them, that you establish the domain, you establish the rules for what stays and what goes, that this thing they think they're coming to claim does not actually belong to them. It belongs to you. And as long as you remember the upgrade that you experienced belongs to you. The new way of thinking belongs to you. The new way of speech belongs to you. The new company God is going to bring into your life belongs to you. The new anointing that you are walking under belongs to you. The new environment God is giving you dominion over that you have not seen yet belongs to you, and the enemy cannot take it away from you. As long as you remember, it belongs to you. So here comes these 8, and we now have to figure out what it is we're going to do. How do we handle this new hateful 8, so to speak, that are now showing up, trying to take territory that does not belong to them? I love the order and the sequence because Luke chapter 11 actually, not Luke, the book of Luke starts chapter 1 with this. I'm sorry, chapter 11, I was right. Luke chapter 11, verses 2 through 4 gives us a blueprint for how to handle this. And it's tucked in a sequence of verses we're all amazingly familiar with. But I'm praying that we now see this sequence of verses as a battle plan for sending these 8 back where they came from. So we'll go to Luke 11, verses 2 through 4. And this is Jesus. They asked him, how do we pray? Such a beautiful, beautiful, innocent question. Lord, how do we pray? We see you do this thing where you go off by yourself and you take this time and you mumble and speak, and then you come back and you do these supernatural miracles, signs, and wonders, and you do them throughout the whole day. You seem to never really get tired or be terribly hungry, but then you get up early in the morning and you spend time with this Father of yours, and you come back, hey, can we do the same thing? And Jesus said, absolutely. He gives what we call the model prayer. When you pray, say, our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. We're going to pause right there. So if we're going to establish that this is indeed our environment, the first thing we have to understand is the place of God in it. Our Father in heaven, holy is your name. In your house, in your environment, in your vessel, in your mind, in your spirit, the name of the Lord must remain holy. God's name cannot be something that you take lightly, because the power that is in his name and the power that is in his word, that is the power you're about to draw on to take these things and tell them where to go. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done. We'll pause right there. There's the next nugget. I'm focused on the movement of the kingdom of God. Your kingdom come, your will be done. So when these 8 show up to your door, you need to let them know I am about the kingdom's business. This house, which I cleaned up because I kicked one of you out, is now in order, in sequence, strictly to handle the kingdom business, to handle God's business, to transact God's business. My mind is a space that is only set up to do God's business. We talking about being open? My mind is only open for God business. Any other business, closed. I will quarantine my mind against everything else, but I'm gonna have God's business operating here and nothing else. This is one of the things. Your kingdom come, your will be done. Which means there's what I want to do, and then there's what God says needs to be. And regardless of what I want to do, in this house, in my mind, in my spirit, in my environment, in my ear gates, in my eye gates, God's will be done first and foremost. And this is important because this 8 that is coming, this legion, this army that is showing up, the first thing they're going to do is try to speak to you in a way and tempt you with the stuff that you like. That's how strangers get into your house. They act familiar and they offer to give you things that you want. Come on, somebody. For decades, before we were buying things online, there used to be such a thing as door-to-door salesmen. Do you know how they made their money? They made their money by being friendly and offering things that you think you want in a voice that made you feel comfortable and that made you feel like you related to them. And now all of a sudden, there's a stranger coming into your house, giving you paperwork, putting you in debt. This is how that works. Please believe the enemy's showing up to do the same thing. So if you don't establish that it is God's will before mine, it is God's desires before mine, it is God's plan before mine, the enemy will show up and speak to you in a way where suddenly you are hearing about your desires and how much they're going to benefit you so much. And what we will do is we will say, oh, you're speaking to me in a way that I can relate to because you're talking to me about my desires. Meanwhile, the whole point was that my mind must be stayed on the will of God. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. The presence of God in your home, in your space. I don't care if it's a mansion or a closet, a 2-door, a 4-door, a motorhome, a boat, or a phone booth. Wherever God has given you space, that space should be so saturated with the presence of God, someone should get near it and be like, heaven? People should feel like they have a portal to heaven just seeing you. Because you are so saturated in the presence and the word, and you are so submitted to the will and the desires of God on earth as it is in heaven. I'm giving you all the keys because each one of these, this crew is about to come attack. Give us this day our daily bread. Don't miss this. Lord, give us this day my daily bread. In other words, anything that comes to my door that is not of God can't give me what I need. Because that is a surefire strategy to try to get you to let them in. Hey, I got what you need. 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 You need this. You need this. I got what you need. Don't worry about him. I got it. It's right here in front of you. You can see it. You can touch it. You can smell it. I got what you need. They will run up on you like a pusher man. And if you don't understand what is happening, you will let the thing you drove out and 7 more powerful than it back in to the territory that you just reclaimed. Give us this day our daily bread, which means I go for my daily bread, that which I need, whatever it is. I love this idea that the daily bread can be more than just bread itself. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by the word that proceeds from my mouth. God, give me that which I need for the day. If it's a word, give me the word. If it's a verse, give me the verse. If it's a text from my very best friend, send that thing. If it's dinner with a friend, send it. If it's more time with my wife and kids, send it. If it's more time with myself and you, send it. If it's me not being at the job that I'm at, break it. If it's me being exactly where you want me to be, but me not being comfortable, send me the comfort so I can go where I previously was uncomfortable, and I can go knowing that you're going to meet me there. Bring me a new level of comfort. What do I need today? And when you say, give us this day our daily bread, you are proclaiming over your environment. You are proclaiming over your mind, over your body, over your spirit, over your home, over your space. Whatever I need comes from him. And now that you have a sense of not needing anything that comes to your door, when the enemy comes to peddle something to you, you say, I don't need it because I can get it from him. But I can get it to you quicker. I can get it from him. Wow, you never know. God has his own timing and it might take you longer. Doesn't matter. I'll wait 40 years. I just want it from him. I'll wait 40 years for it to come from him rather than having it come to me in 5 minutes from whatever this is. Because whatever this is, I just drove out, which is another thing you have to remember. God doesn't do repeats. If you drove this thing out and it shows up again, it's a repeat. Make sure your viewership for the repeat, just like for television, goes down. Nobody watches the repeats more than the original. You've already seen the original. You know where to laugh. You know where to cry. You know where to turn it off. You're not trying to do the same thing again. You want something fresh and something new. So when the enemy tries to bring a repeat performance back to your door, you automatically know this is not of the Lord. This is not my best. Pastor Stephanie just spoke about how your best is always in front of you. So when something shows up that you've already seen before, bare minimum, I don't care what it sounds like. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what it smells like. I know this isn't the best because I've already done it. Give us this day our daily bread. I love this. Forgive us our sins, for we also forgive everyone who is indebted to us. Let me give you a real brief translation of it. I messed up. Other people have messed up too. And I don't think of myself as so holy that I am better than they are. So God, if you can forgive me, I can forgive them. This avoids a very important trap, because one of the ways that the enemy will try to engage you is through your pride and your ego. Oh, you don't need them. They've gone through this, but you are better than them. Oh, look at how they treated you. Look at the things that they've done. Look at the things that they said. They don't compare to you. You do it so much better than they do. Meanwhile, you have the understanding. They have made mistakes. I make mistakes. God sees us the same way, which means I have to walk with the same level of forgiveness. I'm not going to allow unforgiveness to be an open door for this thing and its 7 friends to try to enter into me and then enter into what is supposed to be for me. So you're not going to get me through unforgiveness, which means, oh, I don't know who I'm talking to. Whatever grudge it is that you've been holding, the grudge that you needed to have let go of because of the pandemic, you managed to hold a grudge. Wow, who am I talking to? You literally managed to hold on to a grudge through a pandemic. You were this upset with a person. You were this upset with a certain. It grieved you. You were so offended that even as the appreciation for life around you increased, you still couldn't let this thing go. And what the Lord is saying to you right now is forgiveness is your way. Forgiveness is your path to not only being free, but to truly walk out in the authority and strength to drive out that which shows up that does not belong there. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. This one is tough. Because the definition of the word temptation is a putting to proof. And everybody wants to prove themselves. Everybody, whether you want to admit it, everybody has something to prove. You have nothing to prove to God. I'm going to say this again. You have nothing to prove to God. He already knows you. He already loves you. He's already sent his son in order for you to have the salvation and the intimacy with him that is necessary. You have nothing to prove to God. So what the enemy will try to do is say, now, since you won't let me in on all these other fronts, why don't you let me in so that I can help you prove yourself to the Lord? Don't go for that. You have nothing to prove to God. You are not impressing God with the things that you do. God is not sitting in heaven watching you battle like, "Ooh, I didn't see that coming. That's amazing. Wow, that caught me off guard." He's seen it all. He already knows. Not impressing him. You're not raising his eyebrow. And watch this. He's not pouring out any more love than he already has. He's already maxing out on the output of the love of the Holy Spirit that is flowing over you and your life right now. You can't increase that. You also can't decrease that. That love flows regardless. And so when we say, do not lead us into temptation, we're saying, this putting to proof is not my business. I may have to learn something about myself, but I am not proving myself to God. God already knows me. If anything, I need to come to a greater awareness of who I am. But it is not my job to put myself to prove myself to God. It is for me to have an understanding and an awareness through a God-ordained circumstance. Oh, this is who I am. Oh, this is the type of warrior I am. Oh, this is the kind of worshiper I am. Oh my goodness, this is the type of this is who I am. This is my mentality. This is my speech. This is my environment. This is your reopening act. You are establishing it all. And when we avoid being led into temptation by that which was not supposed to take us somewhere where we weren't supposed to be, we can continue moving forward in establishing our environment. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. This is the haymaker. This is the haymaker that they will throw. This is the last sales pitch the enemy's going to give before they leave. This deliver us from the evil one. What they will try to do, or what it will try to do to gain entrance back into your heart, back into your mind, back into your space, it will say, we're the way. We're it. You're having a tough time where we are. Roll with us. We're the way. We're the easy way out. We're the convenient way out. We're the comfortable way out. We're the way. Don't worry about what God is saying. We're right here in front of you. We're the way. Follow what we're doing. We have a history together. We know each other. Let me lead you through this. But the Lord has already made a way. Jesus is the way. So anything that isn't the Lord and anything that isn't his son, you know, is not the way. Deliver us from the evil one. The evil one will show up and say, not only am I the way, you can't escape me. Ooh. They will act as if when they show up to your door, when they show up to your ear gates or show up to your eye gates, they will act as if there is no way to avoid them or to not have to interact with them. And that's not the truth. PT spoke on this a couple of weeks ago. He talked about resisting the devil and he will flee, and resisting being an active, offensive, forceful thing. And when you apply force, when you apply strategy, when you apply discernment, when you apply your anointing, when you apply revelation, when you apply a word, when you apply everything that you learned after you drove the one out, when you apply all of those to the given moment, you will find that as you apply it, the enemy and its 7 homies are left defenseless because they were not prepared for you to use weapons they've never seen before. But this only happens when we take our time after we've driven the one out to continue to seek the Lord for strategy. And he gives us this strategy right here in the model prayer. Model meaning this isn't the only way to pray to God, but for this specific encounter, it is a wonderful blueprint for how to keep things out that you've already driven out. Family, I'm going to land the plane right there. In this reopening of the world where everybody's open, it's open, they're open, that open, we have to remember we're open too. So we have to guard what we have. We have to guard what we have fought. So we have to continue to keep the territory that we have advanced and taken. It's not enough to just say, it's mine, and then rest on our laurels, thinking that however we defeated the one, that's how we will handle all of our battles. Absolutely not the case. When the enemy has been driven out, it's time to strategize. How am I going to deal with the more that's coming? How am I going to prepare myself for the greater victory? Because I know a greater battle, a greater challenge, a greater amount is coming. So now I've got time. I have the advantage of time, I have the advantage of location, and I have the advantage of the foreknowledge to know they're coming. So what are you doing in your time to get yourself ready for the real reopening? This reopening act has an opportunity to be the precursor to the greatest story that your life could ever come into contact with. But we have to prepare. So instead of running pell-mell out into the world, everything's open, we got to settle down and strategize and really look at what we have been through to prepare us for what we are about to go through. We have to look at who we were then, how we have developed, what we have learned, and how to apply it now. We have to, in this reopening act, establish all over again who we are, what we do, this new world that we're in, and our new relationship to it. And if we handle those 4 things, no matter what number comes to our door, whether it's 1, whether it's 8, whether it's 20, whether it's 50, we are constantly prepared and ready to maintain and keep that which God has given us dominion over, which is us. Let's pray. Father, I thank you I thank you that you have allowed your people to understand in a fresh new way what walking with you really looks like. We thank you, Father, for the victory in advance. We thank you for the strategy. We thank you for the courage to take that which you have given us and put it to work. We thank you for the spirit of patience. We thank you for the spirit of patience to let that which you have put in motion develop so that we can walk in your timing and walk in alignment with your order and walk in alignment with your anointing, so that whatever is put before us shall pale in comparison to the fullness of who you are. Father, I pray that you give everyone under the sound of my voice the lens to discern the counterfeit. Every version of the counterfeit that shall try to come to occupy space, time, mind, spirit, body, we prepare ourselves so that we can see it coming. Father, make it plain for us so that in this reopening season, we are stepping out with boldness and with authenticity and being led by the Holy Spirit. We are stepping out into all you have for us and nothing less. We honor you, we praise you, and we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, family, thank you so very much for joining us. I'm praying right now and speaking this onto your households, that as you go forward, keep your territory. Keep your territory, build your testimony. Bless you, we love you, and we will see you once again at another time.